It's a common belief that once a child turns 18, the juvenile court would lose jurisdiction over that child for all purposes and a case would no longer be able to proceed. While that generally might be true, there are a number of different reasons why a court may not lose jurisdiction over a child once they turn 18. Let's talk about what those might be. In a juvenile court, only offenses that happen while a child is between the ages of 10 and before their 17th birthday can be brought to the juvenile court. Anything that happens after the child turns 17 is an adult case, and those go directly to the adult courts. So while we're talking about behavior that happens while a child is 16 or under, the juvenile court can still hang on to jurisdiction of that child for longer than just their 17th birthday. In general, a juvenile court can continue with court hearings, or charges can continue to be brought against a child until that child turns 18. But sometimes the court process lasts longer than the child's 18th birthday, or sometimes the allegations aren't brought until after the child has already turned 18. So what happens in those circumstances? Well, in the case where the allegations are brought before the child turns 18 and the police have finished their investigation and it's gone to juvenile services and it's gone to the prosecutor and the prosecutor has filed a formal petition in court. If all of that has happened before the child turns 18, then it's possible that the actual court process could continue after the child's 18th birthday. But the prosecutors have to show basically that they didn't delay this on purpose, that they did everything they could to try to get the case resolved before the child turns 18. If it lasts a little bit longer than that, the court usually says that's fine. Now, in the case where the allegations are not made until after the child turns 18, that's a completely different process that starts. It's called a waiver of juvenile court jurisdiction, which we often call certification. And in this instance, we often call over 18 certification. So this means that when the court process started, the child was already over the age of 18. But since the disposition options in juvenile court are available for kids under 18, the case cannot proceed in the juvenile court as it usually would when a case is brought while the child is under 18. So what happens? In that case, if the prosecutors want to move forward with the charges, they can file a different kind of petition to ask the court to give up the court's juvenile jurisdiction and transfer the case to an adult court, where the child will instead be treated as an adult and prosecuted just like if the charges were brought after the child was 17. The court will still have to make a decision whether that's what the court wants to do. So a hearing will be had where the prosecutors will present evidence of why they think the juvenile court should transfer the case, and the child's attorney will be able to provide evidence about why they think the case should not be transferred to the adult court. If the juvenile court does decide to transfer the case to the adult court, the child is considered an adult for almost all intents and purposes. The only main thing that's different is that the child could never be subject to the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole, and if this is a sexual assault kind of offense, the maximum sex offender registration that a child could face is 10 years instead of lifetime. There are also a couple of different ways that laws may not apply to the child now adult in the same way as if the offense were committed when the child was an adult, but those are really case-by-case examples. And for that reason, it's important to have an attorney who really knows the ins and outs of juvenile law and adult law if you end up in that situation. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can find us at versestexas.com.